Hello and welcome to Word Level 1 for 2016. I am your instructor, Kenneth Smith, and I will be helping you navigate through your Word documents today. We are going to start out with just a few key things here. Chapter 1, we are going to get started with Word, and the objectives are to open and navigate within a Word document, create and save Word documents, arrange the Word workspace and navigate among multiple documents, copy, move, revise, and delete text, preview and print documents, and configure Word using settings provided by the Word opinion dialog box. All of that can sometimes seem like a bunch of gibberish until we actually get into it. So just hang in there with me and I will explain each and every one of those. First off, just to let you know, if you want to open up a Word document, you just go to your Windows Start menu, and if it's not listed here, which mine is because it's something that I do use recently, and if it's not there, then you can type in your search box Word, and then you can actually go here, or you can click on one of your hashtags, and you can either go W for Word, and it's right there. So if you click on that, we can open up a blank document. And this is one of the things that we will go through too, is that you do have blank documents and you also have templates. So if you see something here, either in business, cards, flyers, education, resume and cover letters, holiday, and just regular letters, if you see any of that information in here that you want to use that someone has already created and you just have to make a few changes here and there on some names, then you can actually pull up one of these templates and make those changes and then save it as your own. But for now, we're going to start with a blank Word document. So when you pull this up, this is what your Word document is going to look like. Here's your cursor. This mouse cursor with that looks like a capital I allows you to know that you are ready to type in wherever you're going to start at. We will be going through each one of these tabs as well as each one of these ribbons down below. And so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in our topic A, we are going to learn to navigate in Microsoft Word. The biggest difference between the desktop of 2016 and then the mobile app for Word is that in your desktop you have your traditional computers, you have comprehensive feature set, the keyboard and the mouse, not touchscreen like most things are, and then it is purchased through Office 365, so you know that it is legit with Microsoft through Microsoft. As far as your Word mobile app, this is geared toward tablets and phones. It is a limited feature and functionality. It is optimized for touchscreen interfaces, which can be used with a keyboard and a mouse. So that just means you can pull up the keyboard and type in it on the screen versus actually connecting one to it. But you can also plug in a keyboard if need be. And then you also have a free download from the App Store. Okay, so then the next thing that we have is the ribbon. This is where you're going to find all of your tabs and then what is below your command groups. So we have our home, which is where we're going to find a lot of our information on our copy and our cut and our font, anything that we have to do with paragraphs, and then also selecting a different type of style. That will all be on our home tab. So let's just kind of look at our Word document. So we will go back to that, and this is where you're going to see that here is your home tab. Here's your clipboard information. So if I wanted to cut or copy or paste, then I could do so. This is where my font is. So this is where I'm going to choose my font style as well as my font size. If I wanted to make it bold, italicized or underlined, and then also if I wanted to outline it and just kind of make those text effects, as well as the highlighted background and then my text color as well. This is actually going to decrease your font size, and this one is going to increase your font size. And then you have your paragraph style. So this is where we're going to go through bullets, numbers, kind of like an outline style, and then also increasing and decreasing your indents, your fill options, and then if you wanted to align left, center, right, or by justify. And then all of this information for styles, when we start typing, we'll go through this so that you can see that as we move over the tiles, or styles, sorry, as we move over the styles, then we will be able to see the different changes within our stuff too. Your insert tab, this is going to be like if you need a page break, if you want to insert tables, if you want to insert pictures, either from your computer, you would do pictures from a file or pictures online. If you wanted to insert any kind of charts, you would click on charts and you could see that you have a line chart, a bar chart, and so forth and so on. But we get through that probably later on in the section or into Word 2. So just kind of heads up on that one. If you wanted to insert any kind of hyperlink or comment, a header or footer or page number, all of this is where you're going to do that. Then we have our design tab. Okay, and this is just the kind of design that we want as far as our document, like what we want it to look like. We have different colors if we want backgrounds on different things. We have different effects on how we want it to look as well, and different fonts. And we can go through each one of those, but those are going to be the same thing that are on your home screen. You also have your page color, borders, and watermark. On your layout, this will tell you your margins, and then it will tell you your orientation. So if you wanted it to be portrait or landscape, remember that portrait is going to be vertical and your landscape is going to be horizontal. So just depending on what you're wanting there. And then you also have your size, and if you want to add columns. So if you were doing something like writing a newspaper article or writing something and then inserting a picture next to it, and you wanted it to be in columns with a picture, kind of like if you were doing a menu for a restaurant or something, then this is where you would go ahead and have that formatted in there. And then again, you have your right and left align and however you want that, and then also your wrap text if you needed that. On your references, this isn't a particular tab that you'll use very often. If at all, to be honest with you. I don't think this is anything that I've ever used in my business career, so I couldn't really tell you. You do have a table of contents if you just kind of wanted to put that in order. If you were doing something for, I know like a lot of our schools, they have a table of contents for whatever material they're getting ready to go through, or a table of contents if you had meeting notes that you wanted to get through. So you could do it that way, or you could just go ahead and manage it the way that you want to. You also have mailings. So this is how you're going to do your envelopes and then also your labels. And then if you wanted to start a mail merge, this is where you can pull it in from like an Excel spreadsheet into a mail merge, and then put those on labels versus them being in an Excel sheet. So we'll get into that probably in Word level 2. On your review, this is where you're going to do your spell check, and then you have a thesaurus. So if you've used the same word over and over, maybe you need to come up with a different word. You would just highlight that word that you're using, hit your thesaurus, and it will go ahead and do that for you. It does have a translation here, or if you wanted to add a new comment. Any of this is probably not going to be used very often on any of these particular ribbons at this time. And then our last one is view. So if you wanted to put it in read mode or print layout mode, a web layout mode, if you wanted to put it in an outline or draft where you could see that, if you wanted to put rulers or grid lines, so if we were to click this, then it would put the ruler up here where we could usually set our tabs at. And then if we wanted grid lines, then it would put our grid lines in here. At any point in time you don't want those, you can just take them off. And then if you needed to zoom in on that, if you wanted to look at one page or multiple pages, a new window, or arrange all and split, we will go through each one of those for sure. Okay, so we will go back to our home tab. File we will get into later because that's just going to be like a whole nother section on its own. So just know this is where we're going to start. And I do have a set of shortcuts that will help you in the future. We have what is called our control shortcuts. So I'm one of those that when I'm typing, I don't like to take my hands off the keyboard to like click the mouse to do something and right click. So I like to do it just all on the keyboard. So if I needed to do something in a document where I had to copy it and then paste it, I like to do the Control C and then the Control V. You can use the Control S as long as you have already done a save as, and we will go through that difference as well. Control Z is like my best friend of all times. That's my undo button. And so often when I make a mistake or I can't figure out where I made a mistake at, I'll hit Control Z several times just to get back where I need to. And then you have Control A, which is going to be your select all. And then to toggle in between screens, it's Alt and then Tab on your keyboard. So if I wanted to change in between here and the last screen that I was on, which was my file folder, I would do Alt Tab and then I would do Alt Tab again. And then this would come in as far as my shortcuts. Okay. So we have the sign in option, which is your other ribbon components. And so sign in, this is going to get you to your documents from anywhere by signing into the Office. Your experience just gets better and more personalized on every device you use. So if I were to have this shared somewhere, and I needed to sign in, then I could sign into anywhere like the Office 365 online and be able to get to those documents, especially if they were on the OneDrive. And so that's just really convenient, but that does also mean like if you happen to call into work sick and you have a OneDrive, you know, they might expect you to still go ahead and sign in and prepare that document in any form or fashion. So just heads up on that one. And then you have share, so you can share this document so you can see who it's being shared with. So if you needed to send that or share it with somebody and they needed to make any type of additions to your document or take some things out of your document, then you could do that by sharing. The auto hide, as far as your ribbon, this is something that you can hide the ribbon or you can show tabs only or tabs in command. So what that's talking about is that if I were here and this is my ribbon area below my tab, if I were to come in here and just hide this ribbon, then it would just hide everything until I were to click up here and then it would bring it back down. And then as I began to type on my document, it would disappear again. I am one of those that I do not like to hide my ribbon, only because it's just one of those that I can't ever find anything. So if it's on the home tab, I want to know that this is my home tab, this is what I see, because you can have it to where you hide just, you show the tabs only. So if you know what you're looking for, you know where they're at, I mean, you can click on them. I just like to have them down because that's my own security blanket there. So, but you do have that option if you wanted to just see your Word document and not get distracted with everything else. So the different type of document views, this is on your View tab. It is also at the bottom of your screen down here, and so we will go through both of those. I will state that there are multiple ways to do one thing, either in the Word documents or the Office 365 apps themselves, and so we will learn different ways to do one thing. So it's whatever you're most comfortable with, but I will show you all the different ways that you can do that. So on this one, as far as our document views, we have the print layout, we have the read mode, web layout mode, and the outline. So let's take a look and see what those actually look like. So on my document, I will be in view. So here is my read mode. So this is my regular print layout mode. This is exactly what it's going to look like in what we call a normal view. And so if I were to go to read mode, it's going to put it just like a book. And so as I scroll through here, it's just going to pull it over just like you would flip the pages through the book itself. And then you could go full screen with it if you wanted to. Okay, so then I'm going to have to go back to view and go back to my paper layout. So in here, okay, we have our view, and I want my tools. So I go back to edit document on that information, and then I would have to go back to my view tab. So the next one after read mode, this is going to be your web layout mode. So if you want to read it like you would a web page, then you could. Some people like it that way, some people do not. I'm not one that I like it that way. So this is going to be like your most normal view is going to be your print layout view. If you wanted to look at it in an outline to where you have it tabbed out and just kind of some subheadings up underneath the main heading, you could do that. Or, so we can close outline view and then draft. So what it would look like as a draft before you actually published it, or maybe even before you put it online. So all of that, especially the read mode, the print layout, and the web layout, that is going to be down here in your bottom right hand corner. So this is my read mode, and this is my normal, and this is my web. So I have very different options here as far as that, but I'm going to stay in the print layout mode. And then you also have your zoom in and out here as well. Okay, so I can zoom in, or I can zoom out, or I can go back to its normal. So it just kind of depends on what your preference is. Now you can do the same exact thing if you hold down your control key and then scroll up with your mouse. It'll make it bigger for you. Or if you want it smaller, you hold down your control key and you scroll your mouse button down. So I'm going to keep it bigger just so you have it on screen in front of you and it'll be easier to look at. Okay, and then we have the Tell Me and Help button. So the Tell Me and what you want to do is right here. And what it does is it helps you find specific commands on the ribbon, and then Help allows you to search on how to do a certain task. And that way you use F1. So if we wanted to go back here, here's our Tell Me. And I'll say, tell me how to indent a paragraph. And then here is my indent. So if I wanted to increase, then I could. It doesn't tell you exactly where to go for that. So it's not going to tell you to go to the home screen or anything like that. So you just kind of have to know that this is the little icon which matches the one on the home screen for you to actually indent your paragraph. So I will Control Z that so it will not be indented. Okay, and so, I mean, like I said, it'll just tell you like what it looks like. It won't necessarily take you where you need to go for that one. Your zoom in options, we kind of looked at this. This is also going to be on your view tab. And so not only is it at the bottom right hand corner, but if you go to view, you are able to zoom in if you need to, and you can increase it. And you can do the page width if you need to do that, or the whole page. Many pages, and it should show you over here on the preview exactly how big it's going to make that text over here as you increase it or as you decrease it. And I think that's about where I had it. So you can customize it, or it could easily go to 200, 100, or 75. And then that will tell me I want the whole page that way. I want text width, or I want page width that way. So we'll just go to 200 and I will adjust. Apparently I wanted the whole page that way. Okay, so the other one is your navigation pane. And this is how you're going to kind of edit or sort or find. And so we're going to go through the finding and selecting. So here's your home screen here. So it's your home tab and then all the way to editing on your ribbon. And so it will be home, editing, and find and select. So you'll drop this down. Or the shortcut to that on a document is Control F. So if I were on this document, I could easily do Control F and it will bring my navigation screen up. Or I will go home, go all the way over here to editing, and then do my find, and it brings up the same screen. So I can either find results, find pages, or find headings. So if I wanted to know what page the word history showed up on, whoops, then it would tell me page 1 and page 2. This is where history shows up on. So here's where it shows up on page 1. Here's where it shows up on page 2. If I wanted to know where spices, if I can spell right tonight, spices show up. Okay, so it's going to tell me all here through page 1, and then on page 2, this is where it's going to highlight where it's all on page 2. So it will kind of help you navigate through each one of these. Now, if I wanted to do results, then it would tell me like which sentence that I wanted to look at it in for each one of those results. Or if I had headings, it would tell me if I had it in a heading and I don't. So page number or results are going to be your two main ones that you're going to look at, unless you're looking for a specific heading. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is we're just going to kind of open up our Word document, and I'm going to have you open up a blank document. So we will go to our Start menu, and then Word 2016, and then blank. And we'll close our navigation. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and center, and I want you to title your document All About Me, and then I want you to highlight it and put it in bold or Control B. We're going to change our font style to comic. And the good thing about this is that if you're not real sure what you want to change it to, as you scroll down, you may find something different. I just happen to like the comic view right here, Comic Sans. And then I want you to change that to probably about 14. The one thing that you need to know about Word documents, especially if you're doing them for any type of college paper or for any type of presentation, that you're going to want to do probably your title in a 14 to a 16, and then you want to do your font anywhere between a 12 and a 14. It just kind of depends on who you're presenting it to, because anything bigger than that, then it's going to look like you just wanted to take up space. Anything smaller than that, it's just a lot of information in tiny writing that they may or may not look at completely. So then after your title slide, I want you to hit enter a couple of times, and then I want you to go back over to your align left. And then I want you to put my favorite ice cream is birthday cake from Brahms. That's my favorite. We may or may not be able to share that. Now, since Brahms is underlined, that means that I might have a typo in here, but none of these are what I'm looking for, so I'm actually going to ignore all because Brahms is spelled correctly. And then I want you to put I have, and then how many pets you have. So I have 3 dogs and 3 fish. And then let's see what else. That should probably be enough for now. And I can show you what I want you guys to do with that. So a lot of times, obviously on a professional paper, you are not going to have it in comic. And so we're going to change our information down here back to Times New Roman. The two most popular are going to be Times New Roman and Arial. So here is what, not Arial bold, but here's what Arial looks like. So there's Arial right here. Okay, which is a little bit different than your Times New Roman, but at least with your Times New Roman, that's when you want to use the font size of about 12. The other thing that I want to show you is that if you are wanting to highlight a word that you want to take out of there, you can take your mouse and left click and slide it over the words themselves to highlight them. Or if you double click, it'll highlight the word only. Okay, and then if you come down here and you triple click, if your fingers are fast enough, then it will highlight the whole sentence for you. Okay, so again, if you wanted to just take something out because it was a misspell or whatever, you can just put your cursor there and then back it out. Or you can put it on the word itself and double click and it highlights the whole word. So if you wanted to take the whole word out, and then you can do Control Z to undo that. And then if you wanted to do the whole entire sentence, then you would triple click. So just kind of a little, some easy go about ways of doing some things right there. The next thing is we are not going to want to have our information bold, so we're actually going to undo that bold here. And then we can continue on with whatever we wanted to type about. So now we have a title, it's all nice and centered, it's out there, it's all about me, and then the information below is just a little less bold, but it's at least readable and we can look at the information and take note of it. So those are just a few things that if you wanted to take a look at. And then if I wanted, since this is my print layout and I wanted to know how it was going to look when I printed it, this is one way. The second way is to go to File and Print. And this is like my print preview area. This tells me that I only have one page. This is how far it's zoomed in, all about me, and this is what my Word document is going to look like. Okay, moving on to topic B, how to create and save Word documents. So that was a great intro into getting into this, because if we want to save our Word document, then what we would do is we would come in here and we would have our new document, or do Control N. That's the same thing as a new document, or File and New if we were already in Word. And then we have what's called our backstage view. So when I said we would go over the File tab a little bit later on, because it's its own little section, this is what it's called. So when you click that File tab, you actually go into a backstage view, and this allows you to choose several options or views. And then, of course, we have our templates, which are pretty much pre-made information that is already organized for you. And we will take a couple of different looks at those. So here's the first difference. When you come in here and you do File, this is the whole area that's called your backstage view. This is where you actually can protect your document. So you can encrypt it with a password so that when you send it out, you don't want anybody making those changes to this particular document itself. And so you would go ahead and encrypt it with a password. You actually have to type in a password, not just password protected, because anybody can click password and then be done and open it up. So make sure that you're able to actually type in a password in there. This is where our inspection goes. So if we needed to check compatibility, so if someone else had like a 2003 Word that they were running and you're running 2016 and you wanted to see if that was compatible when you send that information, then this is where you would go through that particular document. And then, of course, managing your documents if you wanted to recover unsaved documents or if you wanted to delete unsaved documents. The good thing about Word 2016 is that after you have done your save as, I'm one of those that if my power cord is up underneath my desk, lo and behold, I will be the person that kicks it completely off. So thank goodness they have come out with a way that in Word in 2016 that every 10 minutes it auto saves. And so after I've already opened my document, I've titled it, I can do a save as, and then I can work in it to where if that happens or the electricity shuts down or there's a power glitch, whatever the case may be, at least I only lost 10 minutes worth of work instead of like a whole document worth of work of hours and hours and hours of stuff. So just kind of note that, but you have to do a save as first. So if this is a brand new document that we have pulled up and that we are using, we're going to do save as. And then I can just browse depending on where I wanted to download it at. So if I wanted to send it to my desktop, if I wanted it to load in downloads or documents, if it's pictures and I want to do that, or if I have a flash drive, which I do, then I could actually load it on my flash drive as that is coming up as an E drive. So it just depends on however many drives your computer has in it, what this letter will be when you plug in your flash drive. So once we do a save as, okay, that means, and I'm just going to cancel this, that means that we can open that document back up. And so if this was all closed down, we thought we were done, so on and so on, and then they were like, nope, I'm going to need you to go ahead and add one more item about yourself. So I need you to go ahead and, put that in there and then save it. And so we would put, okay, I need one more item about myself. And so I'd put, I have one lovely teenage daughter. Okay, so I would put that as my third thing of all about me, and then all I have to do is either hit the save button, or as you can see when I hover the mouse over it, it says Control S. So I would just do Control S, or I would go to File and I would do Save. So again, this is after I've already done a Save As and I've closed that document down, and now I need to add one more thing to that document. Anytime that you have already done a Save As, all you have to do is do a save right after it. And then you won't have to worry about that information getting lost. So it's great.